So, hello, everyone. Welcome to the second annual Global Goddess Fest, a week-long virtual festival to inspire, activate, and connect female leaders, entrepreneurs, and creatives worldwide. So today we have Nichole Sylvester here, tuning in from Philadelphia. So thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, totally. And we got connected through a dear soul sister who is also on the Global Goddess Fest, Jigme, and
Yeah.
she was just saying, you have to get Nichole on here. She gave me two
Oh,
names. She's like, you must get these women on here, no matter what. They need to be a
yeah.
part of this. And so it's been really great to be able to connect with you and to give everyone that's watching some background. Nichole is a best-selling author and transformational speaker and success coach. So she's the author of Oh Shift, A Journey
Yes.
from Chaos to Consciousness. Dun, dun, dun. And she's a life coach and a motivational speaker, and also hosts her podcast, The Harmonious Hustle. And so a bit of her background is that she's a survivor of domestic abuse and addiction, and she shares her inspirational personal story and expertise with others so that way they can lead their own path towards wellness and success. So I think one thing, just like, wow, that's awesome. Like, cool, we're in the presence of an epic female who's taking charge. And I think the thing that I want to highlight is the harmonious hustle. And
Yeah.
for everyone that's viewing, to give you an idea of the hustle that this woman is on, is we have been struggling to connect, right?
Yeah.
And yet there's this kind of underlying line that has connected us of trying to get everything done, trying to fit the pieces together. And I just so appreciate your dedication to showing up. And I think that is the embodiment of the harmonious hustle. How do I get all my stuff done and figure out how to create flow and figure out some ease? So I guess to begin, I would love to hear your definition of the harmonious hustle.
Well, the harmonious hustle I started because I was wanting to redefine what it means to be a woman on fire. And when I found myself in this calling, I was going deep down the spiritual path, and there was this whole idea of oh, well, you're being too masculine when you're selling things, or you're being too masculine when you're asking for this and being assertive. And I just found myself am I not feminine enough? What is this? But I couldn't deny that there was this big call on my life, on my heart, to show up in a really big way. And I just feel for women, there's not enough women in the space speaking how do we really find what's true for us, be in a space of strong boundaries, honoring and living in devotion, yet really fully showing up to shine unapologetically. So the harmony always comes before the hustle. And I feel the hustle feels good when you know what you're showing up for. If that makes sense to
Totally.
everyone. Makes so much sense to me. But
yeah, no, it completely makes sense. And I like the harmony before the hustle, because I think it's such a small little finesse of energy. And yet, and it's, we're talking about both being present too.
Yeah.
But if you actually switch it the other way, the hustle and then trying to find the harmony, it really creates two very different looking lives.
Totally.
So I love that piece. What would you say got you into being able to find that balance within the feminine energy? And I think this is an interesting topic, because a lot of people, when they hear goddess or feminine, they immediately go to this really soft image, but they kind of forget about Kali, and these powerful goddesses that are equally goddesses and yet have this this tenacious energy behind them.
Yeah, the fire, right? And the thing that's funny is when I first got into this, I knew that I had to teach meditation. That's one of the core things that I teach is breath work, meditation. But I also found myself when I was doing photo shoots and stuff for my business, I didn't feel like I was the person to be in the white flowy things on the beach. I also want to wear black tanks and big hoops. I want to do what I want. And can I still be spiritual? And what I found is I really like to make money. but I still am going to pray for all of my incoming clients that I haven't met yet. So it was like, for me, I just found my way by really growing my business mindset in living and working in finance first. That was where I found my hustle. I also did some illegal things, which are in my book. So I just found my way, what it is to really show up and ask for what you want, get what you want. But then like the new way for me to like surrender to what my soul needs me to do and use all of those same principles. Right. So for me, it was like kind of trial and error, and realizing that focusing on the money first, focusing on like trying to get people to do things that they don't really want to do and selling people that way made me feel like crap. So now I don't have to do any of that stuff in my business. I show up from a place of really just, I'm here to serve and share, and I know I deserve to be paid well for it, and just moving from that place.
And would you say that's kind of like themes that you talk about in your book? And because it's like chaos to consciousness.
Yeah. My book actually reads like a movie. It reads like fiction because it's a memoir. So people, like in the Amazon reviews, someone said that it's hangover meets eat, pray, love, which is hilarious.
Love that.
It's really it's an interesting story that's really juicy. Like, it's, people have asked me if it's true. It's totally true. But then the awakening part is just showing what we can do. So it doesn't talk a lot about money mindset. It's none of those things. My second book is going to go into like the how to, the lessons. But this one is just really my story, and then my awakening of like, there's so much more within me that I never knew was here. And we have to really say yes to those things in order to see the next step, the next layer.
And I guess that's something to highlight. Like, did you feel like you were going to write a book when you were younger? Like, was this an idea?
No. So I went to school till I was 8th grade, and then I got kicked out. And I went down just like a horrible path of medicating. I was in an abusive relationship after abusive relationship. My first boyfriend was abusive, and I think it was at 18 I broke up with him. I finally got the courage to break up with him, and he came and found me and kidnapped me and beat me until I was unrecognizable. And I found myself going deeper down the path, found myself dancing and then selling drugs and all these things, and it was just thing after thing. And finally my ex decided we got into a fight. Oh my gosh. Whoa, guys, we're just gonna pick up where we left off. So
the story was like,
it was so intense that it was like, I gotta go. So anyway, there was this final fight that was really violent, and I ended up with staples in my head, and I decided that I have to leave. Like, I have to leave. And I left, and he ended up murdering a woman 6 weeks later. And it was just like, I just saw all of the patterns in my family where I had believed that men just get angry and they hit you sometimes, and they'll stop when they're older, because my grandfather had and my dad had. So I just had all of these beliefs around money and addiction and like what it is to like normal people do. And I finally just set off on this journey to get sober. And then I found a whole other path, and I was called to do the work I do now and share all of this with women. And I don't work with women at that stage of consciousness that are trying to get out of abusive relationships. Now I work with leaders, because I've learned this whole thing about worthiness and how to really tap into our potential. So totally unexpected. I never expected any of this.
Wow, what an amazing story to be able to share. And I think there's also like, that's so awesome that you have gone through it yourself to come to a place of healing where you can really share your story in such a public way. And like, as I'm hearing it, I'm like, oh my God, phone, like falling over too. And like, you feel your strength and the power that you're, that the way you hold yourself and talk about it. What would be like some of the main things that got you to that place?
Oh man, it's just really radical acceptance. Like, one of the things I've learned to tell myself, and it didn't happen overnight, I hid all of these things for years. When I first moved to LA, to restart my life, I went on and just told my new friends, like, oh, my daughter's father just left and I don't know where he is. Like, we just separated, and I hid all of those things. But my awakening was very clear that I was to share my story, help women, and everything would be taken care of. So I just kept surrendering to that, and I would hit this new edge of, this feels scary. What if people don't love me on the other side of this? And I had to just get clear that I need to love myself first. I need to be my own safe place first. And I'm still hitting those edges each time I create something new. When the book came out, now I'm having a live event that's happening in May, and it's like, well, what if people don't come? Or what if it doesn't work out? And it's like, can I love myself in the midst of all these things? Mm-hmm. And if I can, then all's good. It's all good.
Yeah, back to that, like, harmony first.
Yeah, it has to be.
Totally. So for, we have a pretty wide range of audience. Probably some women that would fall into the place of like looking at you and they're like, cool, like I want to be doing that, having my live event, writing my book.
Yeah.
And then there's probably also the other women that are like watching this and are just like, what the heck? Like, how are these women doing this? Like, where, and kind of maybe in more like the old version of you, like I would never see myself writing a book. So, what would you tell kind of like as a last word of advice or inspiration to the women that are watching?
So the first place to start, even if it's someone that's doing great things and you're in a funk, it's like, can we go back to being intentional about every moment? Like, wherever you're at, greatness doesn't require stages. Greatness doesn't require you to write a book. It doesn't even require you to be clear on what you're going to do tomorrow. Like, it just starts with right now. Can I just show up fully present and willing in my next moment right here? Mm-hmm. And when we start doing that, like, life opens up and shares its secrets with us, because it's like such a deep willingness. So that's where I was in the beginning, and that's where I am now. It's just looking differently.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Awesome. So yeah, anyone that's viewing, taking a moment to do a little check-in maybe after this call, and just check into like what's really true for you, what's present for you, and what is maybe even possible. Allow this sort of conversation to spark, okay, like what is something that maybe I could do that I've never thought of doing? For me, this is running a marathon. I hated running my entire life, and it's like one of those things, it's not on my top of the list, but it's like, So, just starting to ask yourself those questions, I think, is really valuable, and just see where the edge is.
Yeah. And any excitement, like, I think that as our self-worth and self-esteem expands, we begin to really notice what's juicy and exciting for us, and we follow it. But in the beginning, we don't know what's ours, or at least that's what I feel like. And I feel like I see that with a lot of women that maybe aren't my clients, but they come to my live events or they watch my videos, where it's like they have these things, but they're not even clear on what's good or juicy for them, because they haven't given themselves permission to even dream it or to feel it. So it's like, just start paying attention to what sparks your excitement. I feel like our desires are truly a direct call to action from the divine, like, period. So just notice and listen, and just be willing to watch the hints, because it's all happening. It's all here.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Nichole, for spending time with us and sharing your story with us and a little inspiration. And thank you to all the viewers that came. So we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks.